Have you ever thought of a simple improvement to make to a public space that would benefit the community as a whole, but not known how to implement that change officially? You may have even contemplated doing it yourself, taking part in a societal movement called DIY Urbanism.
DIY urbanism has been making waves recently as a philosophy of asking for forgiveness rather than permission when it comes to changing shared public space. Oftentimes, an idea may seem simple enough, but the process of getting it officially approved is simply too difficult for a normal person to wade through.
Also called tactical or guerrilla urbanism, it's hard to deny that the philosophy has brought about a lot of really good interventions. Examples include placing seats at bus stops or children to play signs in residential neighborhoods. Some examples, however, are also downright selfish. This includes Malibu residents blocking off public beach access with gates and signs labeled private.
In practice, the concept of DIY urbanism is founded on the idea of privilege. In order to be comfortable and confident making changes to your community without official approval, you not only need to have the money to pay for the change, you also need to be confident that you won't face legal discrimination. As a result, most of the practitioners of DIY or tactical urbanism tends to be wealthy, middle-aged white men. It follows then that most of the forms of DIY urbanism that we read the most about reflect interests that are typically associated with this group, including temporary bike lanes and extended outdoor coffee shops in trendy neighborhoods.
We decided to study how DIY urbanism is used on our campus and whether or not this normalization is good or bad for our community.
People often help themselves to the wide open public spaces on campus, something that is encouraged by Georgia Tech. They make changes to the spaces for the benefit of the student community at large. Two great examples are the courtyard behind the Hinman Building and the lobby areas of architecture. Both spaces are often full of design projects from various studios. Although these are not official installations, they keep the buildings dynamic as projects progress and reset semester to semester. Examples range from plywood furniture and concrete forms to additional shelving purpose-built to display architectural models. Another positive example is the patio furniture on the western side of the Skiles balconies. These bright plastic furniture pieces turn a boring concrete slab into a welcoming place to relax or study.
Some applications of DIY urbanism on campus are inherently selfish, however, often relating to study space. Students frequently rearrange mobile whiteboards in open areas of the Kolk or library to create private study zones, in the process using up much more than their fair share of space. Much like the beaches of Malibu, this sense of entitlement seems vaguely legitimate, so it often goes unchallenged. Less aggressive, but still bad, is something almost all of us have been guilty of, using your book bag or other belongings to block off seats around you at large study tables. Although this often is not a problem, during high-demand times like finals, having every other seat occupied by books makes it unnecessarily difficult to find a study space. Another misappropriation of space is misusing breakout rooms or classrooms that are explicitly reserved for studying, for club meetings, or even recreational purposes. These spaces are intended for students working on group projects or study sessions, but are frequently used for other purposes as there is a lack of semi-private meeting and relaxation space on campus. These alterations to public space show the negative side effects that can result from DIY urbanism. Space that is meant for a specific purpose can be taken up by a community or group it was not intended for, leaving no space for those originally there. When people start to alter their environment, they can, intentionally or not, begin to make it more exclusive to the detriment of less privileged groups.
Yet another class of interventions on campus are those that are well-intentioned but can cause complications. Perhaps the best example is this stool at the bottom of the ladder to climb the architecture building. Before administration cracked down earlier this year, this was a favorite late-night spot for students to visit, and a tall stool lived outside to help people climb the ladder. Though the stool is positive from a student's perspective, making harmless fun a little easier to achieve, it facilitates unnecessary liability on the school side, leading to the installation of extra blockades over the ladder. This play between student convenience and school liability is a common feature of modifications in this category. For example, oftentimes students might prop open the door to someplace like the called roof or the IC printer room in an attempt to not have to run over and open the door for other students later. However, this ends up invalidating whatever security reason the school used to lock the door in the first place.
Even the food trucks on our campus can be traced back to DIY urbanism.
This movement picked up prominence in 2010 according to Google Trends and has been adopted by many community centers, office parks, and campuses like ours. This is one of the most socially prominent forms of DIY urbanism as an example of bottom-up development.
Bottom-up development and planning is the process in which ideas and efforts begin with the general public and make their way up the chain of command until a ruling body implements the idea. DIY urbanism can be an example of this process, since these projects can sometimes be taken over by a governing body to implement the improvement on a larger scale. Another example of this is when paths caused by students taking shortcuts off of the established sidewalks become routes recognized by Georgia Tech. At first, it's a nuisance that changes the landscaping in the area, but then the landscaping is changed to adapt to the path, making more efficient routing for everybody.
Overall, DIY urbanism has great positive and negative impacts on our environment. It bypasses the bureaucracy usually involved with public participation and puts communal improvements in the hands of the public alone.
This has great benefits in that it allows neighbors to immediately react and change things that they want to see changed in their local environments, but it does remove a lot of protections for underprivileged and underrepresented groups. Either way, we've seen many instances of local governments officially adopting campaigns that began as DIY urbanism.
Conversely, this has led to the misappropriation of space by the wrong community. DIY urbanism is the epitome of bottom-up development, for good and for bad.